Anyway, here is Transformers Universe Dinobot in his robot mode. As you can see, it looks a lot like his show version, ignoring the colors for a minute here. Now, I'm going to just start out by doing a comparison with the original Beast Wars 10th Anniversary repainted figure. As you can see, he's definitely taller than his original self, which is a big benefit because Dinobot was always a very tall character. His arms aren't as beefy, but this one was less show accurate in terms of the arms. Legs still retain the same basic patterns as the original figure, and the legs are also longer on this, so they look a lot better and more streamlined. Plus, this one kind of has the bone patterns. He doesn't really. This one has the bone patterns on the side of the dino here, which makes it more show accurate. They both have got the claws there. If I look at them side by side, though, it's pretty clear who the winner is here. If you take a look, this guy's got the giant dino head hanging out. This guy has the dino head folded in somewhat. Their profile, this one is a lot leaner and meaner. He's a lean, mean Predacon slagging machine, or maximal slagging machine, depending on which side you put him on. So really, this guy looks a heck of a lot better than the original, even though he's got less show-accurate colors in that regard. I suspect, as some other people have pointed out, that they probably gave him these colors because he's not sold as a Maximal, but as a Predacon. And in order to evidence this, he's got a little gimmick here on his chest. A neat little faction-changing gimmick. It's a three-way thing. You press it in like this. Now he is a heroic Maximal Dinobot. Press it in again, and now he's an evil Predacon. I can't remember if it was evil Predacon. I know it was heroic Maximal, but the logo, the faction symbol doesn't show up really well here, but on this one it looks pretty good. On the last one I had, which I had to return due to some problems with plastic tolerance issues and such, that one, the Predacon symbol was a lot less clear. This one does not have that problem. Now, he's also got a gimmick here where you can swap out his dinosaur hands, his claw hands as seen on the show, with real hands. You can rotate them around like this, fold these pieces in here, and presto, he's got a real hand. I'll go ahead and do it with this one as well. Now, I myself prefer the other hands. I mean, he looks kind of solid this way, but I prefer the other hands myself. Although what I'm hoping that this means is we get a repaint of him as Beast Wars Grimlock, who would look a lot better with real hands than with claws. Anyway, he's also got a weapon gimmick. If you take a look here, his tail opens up much like the original. Sadly, it does not rotate. But this time, you fold out the tail pieces like this, fold this one back, and fold this in, and voila, you've now got a tail missile launcher. When you shoot off the missile, it likes to pop out, but when you shoot off the missile like so, it's got a lot of power packed into it, so it's a very good launcher. Anyway, as you can see here, it replicates Dinobot's two original weapons, his sword and his rotate blade, as it was called, I believe. You can peg the rotate blade into his hand like this. Sadly, he can only hold it with his hands, because it pegs in, so you have to use those. As for the sword, there's two options. You can either just slide it in like this, which gives you an okay sword holding, or you can make it look better as a sword and put his hands closer to where he should actually be holding it by swapping them out, putting in the claws, and if you notice here, there's a little hole right there. It's rubbery plastic, so it really doesn't hold that well until you actually close his hands around it. But once you do, and you attach it, so long as this doesn't swing out, which it likes to do, that's one of the problems with this. It's minor and nitpicky, but the hands like to, when they're in claw mode, don't like to stay that well. I find it's easier to just slide it in like that. Anyway, now he's got his sword properly held, like the original Dinobot holds his sword. So yeah, he's got posability-wise in robot mode. He's got shoulders, which are pretty posable. His head is on a swivel. He can turn pretty much 360 degrees, which is nice, but it can't look up and down, sadly. Knees, again, are limited due to the way that this works. Just because of this little gap bridge of plastic here, they can only bend that far. He's got ball-jointed feet, which is really good for poses, especially because the actual ankle and the foot are on different ball joints. So really, you can kind of makes up for that deficiency for action poses. His legs can bend up like this, pretty much 180 degrees range of motion. And again, as for his hands, he's got the shoulder joints. He's got a very tight swivel joint up here. And he's got an elbow joint right here. And again, his hands like to open and close in the claw mode. Now, as I was mentioning before, I'm just going to touch on this briefly. This thing has a spring-loaded section in here. This is being touched on by Pia, who's probably got the best fix for this on YouTube. Now, there's a spring in here which has a lot of strength behind it. I suspect that this is going to cause breakage in the long run simply because of stress put on certain parts. Now, plus also, when the spring is actually in, if you look, the head doesn't go down all the way. It only goes down this way if the spring is in. However, if you go around here to the little hole above the pin there, you can't really see it. But you can use like a paper clip or a staple or something to push out the spring, which then lets you adjust the flap manually. And then you can get the head down like this, which, as you can tell, is a lot better. It lets you see more of his head in robot mode, so it's a lot nicer in that respect. Finally, I'm going to just do a few more bonus related things and do a bit more size scaling. As you can see, this is him with his not rotate anymore blade, which can still fire the missile. But here he is with the original Dinobot sword, which looks really, really good on him. I don't know if I'm going to do this myself, but as far as posing him goes, I would greatly suggest pose him with this sword if you're going to be posing him with a sword. Because this one actually looks like a sword, he holds it like a sword, unlike the original toy, which, if you take a look at his original toy, it pegs in like this. So it isn't really a sword per se, it's more a giant drill that's going to pierce the heavens or something. Apologies for the Gurren Lagann homage, but anyway, he holds this like an actual sword. It looks like an actual sword, and it looks a heck of a lot better than holding a red missile that's got a blunt end that is not going to possibly cut anything whatsoever. I mean, they did their best on replicating the drill sword with this, but safety regulations apparently trump actually being able to make it look like his sword. Now, I'm just going to go for some quick scale comparisons here to do some comparisons with the rest of the Universe line. Here he is next to Universe Ironhide. So you can see Dinobot's about the same height as Ironhide. If I make sure to stand him up as tall as he can go. He's actually slightly taller than Ironhide. And Ironhide's a bit of a short deluxe, so that's a gauge of his height. Just for another quick one, Henkei Starscream. He towers over Starscream, just looking where the head is. He's a lot taller than Starscream, plus beefier. You can see how he scales next to other guys. Here he is next to Rat Trap from Season 1 of Beast Wars. The scale here is probably pretty good, because Dinobot towers over Rat Trap in the show. Even with the Transmetal, I went and checked this quickly, and this Dinobot does indeed stand higher than the Transmetal Rat Trap, whereas the original did not, which is a lot better scale-wise. I'm also going to put him next to my arm to the teeth Optimus Primal, Scale isn't perfect here, as you can see, but Primal, I mean, he's a bigger size class. So, I mean, Dinobot measures up a lot better than the original did next to Primal. Anyway, this has been another video review of an awesome figure. The colors are my only issue with it. I would recommend get the Henkei version when that comes out. We've only seen beast mode pictures, but it looks a lot more show accurate if that's what you care about. So it's going to be awesome. But the mold is solid. The mold is very nice. It fixes a lot of the flaws with the original Dinobot and does him justice. Colors are my only issue with it, as I said. Otherwise, this is God incarnate. It is truly the robot Jesus of Encyclopedia Dramatica and Unencyclopedia. This is General Techno, signing off.